Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Power Book 4 for Season 1, Episode 2. We are getting a chance to dive more into these characters, seeing who they are. There's a lot of messy twists going on. Also, Force decided to dig really, really deep into the Power Book 1 bag of
Yeah.
tricks. They ruffled this bag up. They put their hand all the way in here. They pull out Liliana out of complete nowhere.
Yeah, and I'm not mad about it. I like that they are finding ways to continue to bring the original into all of the spin-offs. Yeah, they have thrown a lot of other stuff in here, and I feel like there's a couple of things that are moving just a little too fast. One thing that's a little too convenient, but
Yeah.
before we get into everything, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Thank you for spending some of your Valentine's Day with us. We really appreciate it. And hit that subscribe button if you want to show us some love. Also, follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. We got some Valentine's Day stuff up there as well. And hope everybody had a fun time with Super Bowl yesterday, even if it's just the food, which is what we did. We
Yep.
had some homemade queso, some homemade guac. It was a good time.
It was a very, very good time. And now what better way to celebrate Valentine's Day than with Tommy Egan, a man who cares so deeply about love and romance. He's such a thoughtful soul.
Well, in some ways he
He
is.
can be.
We know that we saw everything with JP kind of unravel. His bar got shot up. We saw him decide to call Tommy. He's kind of like, listen, I don't really have other family. My dad is really sick. Medical bills are piling up, and I needed some help. Tommy's like, here's $10,000. And JP just didn't even really blink at that, like, Tommy should be carrying around a roll of $10,000. And then later he brings him a whole bunch more money. And JP's not asking any questions, which I find kind of strange.
JP is clearly he's somebody who comes from a very school of thought here where if somebody shows up with a giant wad of money, you just don't ask questions that you don't want answers
No,
to.
no, no. You ask. You ask. That's your brother. You can at least ask. And at least Tommy then can be like, it's none of your business. Take the money. I feel like this episode was like almost there with a bunch of things. And there could have been just like one or two little pieces of dialogue that could have turned this from like an 8 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10.
Here's the thing that I enjoy the most about JP as a character. I love his voice. Like JP's voice, just give me him I don't know, reading a menu. Just give him just anything. He can narrate my life. I would be happy with any and all of this.
So we learned quite a bit about him in this episode.
Yeah.
And, it's good to get to know him, but I wish that they would have a little bit of a slower burn with him where it took some time for us to get to know him. So we learned that his dad is really sick, the medical bills, they're piling up, he's unable to pay for protection, his bar's been shot up 3 times.
Yeah.
We learned he has an ex-husband, we learned that he has a son, and that when the mother of his child found out that he was coming out, took his son away from him. Like, there was a lot. This is a JP stacked episode.
It what really was, and I think one of the flaws in it for me is just that this episode was really short, at least in comparison to a
Too
lot of
short.
the Power universe. And maybe if we had another 5 minutes or even 10 minutes in here, we could kind of get more JP backstory or maybe more of a couple of other storylines. Because one of the big sort of reveals at the end of all of this is that JP's estranged son DMAC is very, very much involved, shall we say, with sort of the local drug game here. And it
Mhm.
really, it comes a little bit out of the blue. And it's also something that, because this episode is so short, it doesn't really deliver, I think, a payoff that maybe a lot of us would have expected.
It's too convenient and it's too fast. If they wanted to have this reveal, for me, I need to get to know JP for a longer period of time. This felt like maybe an episode 5 reveal, somewhere a little bit further down the line, where I'm really invested in JP because I'm getting there. I'm getting to know him still. It's early in the
Yeah.
relationship. Give it some time to breathe so that we can all get really invested in him. And then give us the reveal, the convenient reveal that he just happens to be, close by and he's in the game and all that sort of stuff that, we'll see that the connection is there and that he can be reunited or find a way to help his son or something like that, but not episode 2. It was way too fast.
Here's sort of my big picture critique of 4 so far, and I'm enjoying a lot of it, but have you guys ever experienced the situation where you have a new friend who sort of like comes into the friend group and everybody already knows him as like, oh, here is, Crazy Johnny, and then Crazy Johnny shows up and he's like desperate to show how crazy he is, so he's like, lighting things on fire or like going into the grocery store and throwing things all over the ground, and you're just like, you don't need to show us you're crazy all the time, Johnny. We've already heard the stories. And it's like with this show, you don't need to have the big D-back reveal. You don't need to have all this stuff being shot up and everything going so haywire, right? This show already has Tommy. We already know that this is what it is. You guys don't have to prove it too much to us.
Speaking of setting things on fire, I want to talk quickly about sort of the Chicago landscape of how they're like making Chicago seem like it's Gotham, and there's like cars on fire, buildings blowing up, there's like villains, the Joker's here, Catwoman's blowing this up, Riddler's got this car on fire. Having Tommy just like set that car on fire and slowly walking away, I get that it looks cool.
Yes.
But they have established that, especially in this episode, that Chicago is really cracking down on crime, that there are cops everywhere, that it's getting really hard to, move product. Everything's getting really sketchy for anyone who's, a villain in this Gotham universe.
Yeah.
And Tommy's just like, I'm going to set this car on fire. I'll slow walk away. And then there goes like the subway with a whole bunch of people that are just watching Tommy, watching this car on fire. I'm like, okay, I get it. And I want to see Tommy be Tommy and do these things. But like abandoned parking lot, maybe not where the subway is going by. It was just a little too... Is Chicago so out of control in this universe that you can just set a car on fire and the subway's going by being like, yep, normal day in Gotham?
Here's the thing. Tommy's batsuit is really constituted with the thickest plot armor imaginable, where he can go and do this sort of stuff and nothing will ever happen to Tommy because he's Tommy.
So when you were in Chicago, you didn't see any cars on fire?
Yeah.
Buildings burning down. I'm not saying crime doesn't happen, but it felt a little like, just a little bit too much, too comic booky.
Well, okay. Yeah, this Chicago world is not the Chicago I have been to many, many times. But anyway, here is the person added to the rogues gallery here that I appreciated the most, which is Liliana coming completely, just like totally out of the blue. I did not see this coming.
Do you believe her story?
Okay, I'm willing to actually say I do for now, just because, and this is probably just wishful thinking, is that we already have enough other twists with other characters right now, including this whole D-Max situation, that I don't need Liliana to be something or someone different than she's claiming to be right now. I'm willing to sort of accept her at face value, just because this is going to be very, very ironic given the fact that Tommy previously tried to kill her, but maybe she could be an ally for him now. Like, these two jaded, messed up souls, like, they need somebody in this world, right?
I was kind of wondering that as well, that, the past is the past, but now, something else is going on, and Tommy might have found an opportunity here. He kicked in her floor. He found the drugs with the spider logo on it. So he knows that there's something deeper going on that may not be connected to him at all. She may either have stolen drugs from this cartel, or maybe she's working for them. But it's an opportunity for him to be able to maybe figure out how to get them.
I really hope they explain this spider logo a little bit more, and it's not just a hey, look, we're connecting into the Jimenez Easter. It's okay, you guys, you've already we know you're clever. We want to get more context here. If Liliana is going to be a big part of Force, and I think it's probably too early to know that right now, but if she is, I want to know more about her. I want to sort of connect the dots because I think you're trying to show us how big and interconnected this world is, that just because Ghost and Tommy were operating, off in New York, that doesn't mean that their actions were just like confined to that one place.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of those sort of connections, like we saw at the beginning with him looking at his phone and
Yeah.
pictures of Keisha and pictures of Cash, where I was just like, oh, it's convenient he has his phone back because he threw it out the car during the end of the last episode. I'm sure he has a bunch of burners and stuff like that, but it was the first thing I thought of. I'm like, where'd he get this phone from? He just threw it out the car. But I really like that they are connecting those types of things together. It's nice to feel that because, I mean, the original Power is really special to a lot of us.
And I think really we sort of need this stuff because there are so many new characters and there are so many other things going on that it's good to have sort of a grounding influence here, especially if Tommy and Liliana can somehow work to sort of take on some of these larger organizations like the Flynn family here. And I know this is going to be a surprise. I think this is going to be my new bit for this year, is just comparing every show to Succession. But here we have Walter Flynn, aka Logan Roy, who is in declining health, who really thinks that his way is the only way, and he just so happens to have a very ambitious daughter who wants to get in on the action, and he routinely shuts this down while he has a slightly more incompetent son going around and trying to do some stuff instead.
It's a very good comparison. I mean, we found out that he's got cancer. He got a call from his oncologist. I mean, we've seen this in Raising Kanan as well, with Omar Epps' character over there. I mean, I was kind of a little disappointed to see that was where they decided to go with him, because it's something that not only we've seen in the Power universe, but we've seen a lot where it's sort of like you said, the big sort of boss is in declining health, or he's sick, or, something is sort of popping off with that. It feels like I kind of wish this was maybe like a season 2 or season 3 plot if he was going to be around that long. I guess we'll see. Because so far I don't know Vic that well, so I'm not here for the Vic crime, boss. It's just not there yet.
Vic's not really doing a whole lot for me right now, if I'm being totally honest.
No, they need to really give us more on Vic besides that, he's in love with Gloria and he's sort of next in line. Like, I don't know anything about him.
I'm gonna throw something really crazy out there, and I say this as somebody who loves Tommy Flanagan, and I want Walter Flynn to be around for a little while here, but I kind of want Claudia to kill him. And I want this because I don't need to see the Succession storyline where Walter Flynn is around for years on end and, his kids are trying to battle it out for control. Like, I want to see something evolve here that's a little bit different. And I'm not even sure that, that I love Claudia as a character yet, but she's much more interesting than Vic at the moment. And I'm sure of that.
Okay, so let's talk about the relationship that's developing with Tommy and Diamond. It developed quite quickly.
Yes.
Like, very quickly. Too quickly. It was like, they went from like, okay, we're kind of feeling each other out, to Tommy being like, you can drive my Mustang. I was like, well, why is this happening? This shouldn't be happening. And then they get kidnapped, and while they're there, we've got Diamond already being like, if I'm being let go, Tommy's coming with me. My guy has to come with me. Like, he's going to bat for him. It's just kind of like, this relationship shouldn't be this sort of dependent on each other just yet. And I think if they had sort of changed it just a little bit, that Tommy got himself out of that, and it wasn't necessarily Diamond getting him out of that, or a little bit of a conversation more about the car and driving Tommy's car. Like, I just think a couple pieces of dialogue could have changed that to make it like a 10 out of 10.
It needed to be, I think, just fleshed out a little bit more, because we're still getting to learn more about Diamond. We're still getting to
Yeah.
learn more about Jannard. Like, these are
Yeah.
characters who, we've gotten like these little bits and pieces of, but it doesn't seem like Tommy has still been in Chicago for all that long a time
No.
at all. Like, what has it been? Maybe days at this point? It just feels like we're still kind of in the early phases of things, and we're sort of getting a series of moments necessarily more than just like long-term developments. Like, we have the moment with the kidnapping, we have the moment with the awful cop, we have like these singular moments that can be used to sort of develop these characters more. But I also kind of want to see Diamond and Tommy, or even Jannard and Tommy down the road, or even just the CBI and Tommy have just like more moments where they actually kind of get to know each other, because what made Ghost and Tommy so valuable was that they were, they were friends for years. Like, there was like this really significant backstory that led into everything they were doing.
It's also going to be interesting to sort of see the struggle between Diamond and his brother. I mean, obviously there's something there. Diamond's been away for a long time.
Yeah.
He even had a bit of a conversation with Tommy about that, about how things, they change. It's been a long time. And, Jannard's been running things. He's been running things his own way. And now Diamond's kind of, we saw a little bit of struggle on that in the barbershop already. It's going to be interesting to sort of see then Tommy come into that, where, Tommy and Diamond feel like they have a lot more of an understanding. I know, obviously you can't, they're brothers, Jannard and Diamond. So obviously there's that connection there forever anyways. But I'm sure they would want to have a better understanding of where they want to go with this, what they want to do with this. And it's just not there right now.
The thing that I'm probably the most excited about with these different factions is that it feels like most of the season's going to be building towards some sort of showdown with the CBI over here, and then you've got Walter Flynn's family over here, and then it's like, who is Tommy going to choose? What side is Tommy going to be on? And I kind of expect him to sort of just plant himself firmly in the middle and do what he can to collect money and help out each side, and eventually these two could theoretically sort of destroy each other, and then Tommy could rise to sort of the forefront. I don't know if he's going to be the sort of guy who plays the long game in that sort of way, because Tommy has been just a little bit impulsive in the past.
He's a wild card.
But it's fun to think about.
I'm way more invested in the CBI. I'm way more invested in Diamond and Jannard and what is going on over there. I'm just going to say, like, I am not invested yet in what's going on with Walter and Vic and Claudia. I just feel like we haven't had very much time with them. I just don't really know anything about them yet.
It feels just like it is sort of a prototypical crime organization at this point, and we've just sort of assigned people to different roles. And if Walter is to be sort of this big bad of this group, we have to have things that make him feel special. Like, just to pull the Succession reference again out of here, with Logan Roy, we had Boar on the floor, in addition to about a billion other things. And I'm not saying we need to see Boar on the floor in Power Book 4 Force, but we need to see something that makes us really identify Walter Flynn and be like, oh, that's who this guy really is.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem, I think, with Walter, is that I'm not afraid of him. I haven't seen him do anything yet. Like, he's got so many people around him that are doing everything for him that he feels like a guy who's riding the desk. Like, he's not really out in the field doing stuff. I mean, Logan Roy is like over 80 years old on that show, and he is still in the thick of it. He is in every meeting. He is with everything. He's got his hand really in the cookie jar of every single thing that's going on. And Walter feels like he's riding the desk.
I think in general, Force is kind of a show still trying to figure itself out, which I guess it's only a couple episodes in.
It's only 2 episodes in. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I think the biggest selling point it still has, Tommy just had so many boss lines in this episode. He had so many good moments, and I love that they're not forgetting that he has a heart and that there is something more to him, even though he doesn't often show it.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to be back. We'll, of course, be here to discuss all things Power Book 4 Force moving forward.
But we also have Snowfall coming up on February 23rd. We have Killing Eve coming up on February 27th. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff coming up here at the channel, so hit that subscribe button.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you here next time.